Welcome, boys and girls, to another Legion native line battle. Now, this is slightly different because this will be a sort of cut-down version of the Battle of Hastings. The idea is that sections or regiments here will have a king, and it is their job to defend the king. This fellow here, Gronyashin, obviously hard to say with a name like that, and it's their job to defend the king. It's essentially like native horde mode, except the hordes are controlled by people. So their job is to defend the king and keep the king alive as long as possible, hopefully the full 13 minutes, and then it'll be down to another regiment to have another go and see how long they can keep their king alive for. And so the king that survives the longest will be the winner. So think of it as a little bit of stabby goodness with a side order of Regicide. And look at this, the fire coming in already. There's Sir Roger of the 116th, and they've made a push straight into the king and his bodyguard there, and they're having to surround him. So the king's in danger now. I'm surprised they're not making use of more of the barricades, but barricades are relatively limited. So you've got fine archers like Pablos, who's currently trying to take down the horse, which is looking like it's a little bit of a pincushion, with multiple arrows sticking out of his butt. And here, more defenders, as down the hill, at the disadvantage, obviously, are the king killers themselves. The king slayers from the 116th, making their way up. There's Private Baskey. There's Chaff as well, with a bolt straight in his bonce. Lovely stuff indeed. And Steelgate also from Legion. And these guys from Tibby as well, making their way up. And there is Alistair from the 116th. And these guys using the shields to protect themselves from the arrow storm that is pushing into them as horses continue to wander around. One of the cake tin heads themselves. Dark Cloud Laughable. Now look at this. Oh dear, I think they've just lost Gronyashin, as their king has fallen in battle after about 2.5 minutes. So the line of the Gronyashins has come to an unceremonious end. Unless he's got a little bastard at home, which is possible. However, the fight for glory and honour continues on the hill, with horses getting involved from Judentodd. And there we go, the Swardians have overcome. So that's the first round. Let's see how they get on with the rest. So here we are, back again with the next round. Can we lock in on the king? Where's His Majesty? There he is. KOA Tack is the king of choice for this battle. He's a brave soul right at the front of the armies, but he is being surrounded by his bodyguards there to protect him. Campfires nearby. Defensive arrows and Huskars and foot troops on the right flank. And also you can see here on the left flank. Now some of these guys are going to be sniffing around. There's Patachu. And wandering over the hill is Pablo A. Look at that. Checking the area for any sneaky cavalry that might be sniffing around for a quick murder. As there is Azarus. And let's see. They're trying not to cough their lungs up. As you can see. Look at this. They're now moving down to a slightly different position. This is interesting. So Tack, who is the king, that fine headdress, which kind of just marks him out as a target. That's interesting. It looks like what they're actually doing is they're moving down into the lower ground. Now, the advantage of that means trees can get in the way of the cavalry rushing through. They can hide their position a little bit better. And it's just going to be a bit tougher for the cavalry. Now, meanwhile, the cavalry, their defending cavalry, can sniff around the position. You've got these guys up the top here, continuing to defend, and if anything, distract the cav. There's Greasy Gregory from the 16th. Fine name, sir, and fine beard. Oh, dear. Oh, no. Oh, he's slipped through that one. Greasy Gregory doing his thing. And he's now dead, Gregory. Killed by Judentot. And look at this. The melee continuing on the hill while the king escapes to safety down in the woods. So, let's see if we can find out where His Majesty has cheesed it to. Look at this. Here we go. Here, the Royal Guard and the King in the field. And there seems to have been a tactic that works. They're going roundabout. And it looks like they're going to be trying to make an attack from one of the flanks onto the enemy attackers. So going from a defensive to an offensive position. The King following in with his royal bodyguard in their silver armour. Members of the KOA. There's Topsat and Tick. So, let's see. And also Patachu. And there's the horses. In comes Mob Pesh. He's seen them. He's going to be looking for the King. The question is whether or not he'll be able to actually come in and get the King with one of those lances straight through the bonce. We'll have to see how it turns out, but it also means that the arrow storms are going to be coming for him. It's possible he may get dehorsed. Some of that chainmail may stop the nasty arrows going in. Is he going to make a push to try and get on the King? And now you can see the King and the royal bodyguard moving away. You've also got these fellas over here moving in from the 116th. Here is Pendanatora and Alistair as horses fly over the top of them as they continue to push in towards the King. Oh, look at that. Lovely javelins into his bottom. And the King coming under pressure now as Tack can see surrounded by his team, surrounded by his defending, his loyal soldiers. And they're doing a good job of keeping the enemy away. And look at that. Dear oh dear. Trying to deal with one of the cake tin heads. And down goes Cake Tin Head. That was close for Tack. He could have actually caught. Oh, he's taken an arrow. The King's taken an arrow right in the butt. Oh, he's going to be sore in the morning, assuming he lives that long. So now you can see them defending this position as best they can. As down goes the King. The King is dead. Long live whoever's next. And there you have it. An interesting tactic there by the previous King. And we move on to the next one. This is almost like a King production line. Right, King's dead. On to the next one. As the horses in their light horses, for their speed and maneuverability, make their way out. Now, let's see. The attackers getting prepared. Pindaterra. And leading at the front there is Alistair. Doesn't he look fantastic? Also supported the Horny Arathorn. Look at that fine red mane. Glorious stuff. And up on the hill, the banners and the arrows that indicate that Pablo P is the King. The famed Pablo dynasty. Well, at least if it's a famed Pablo dynasty, they've got one Pablo, they'll probably have quite a few more Pablos. Now, this is interesting. What prey is going on over here, gentlemen? what kind of Pabloian tactics are underway here. So, this gentleman does not appear to have brought a huge amount of armour with him. Either that or he overslept and forgot to... His missus forgot to iron his armour. But never mind. Anyway, the point is, these guys are trying to move away to what they hope will be a slightly easier to defend position. Now, whether or not that means they keep His Majesty here, King Pablo, nearest... There we go. Look at that. That's smart move by the Pabloian king. As the arrow storms. Look at this, waiting in ambush with a large chopper. It's Pablo A. Waiting for that moment to jump out and whack him in the face with a large axe. And you can see here the heavy horses being kept back, kept at a distance. As a nice team kill coming in on Elson. Oh dear, never mind. Oh, look at that. That's a very unfortunate arrow. And so these guys coming under attack now from the rear direction. You've got these guys from the 116th. With Baron Enigma UK and other members of the Bucketheads moving forward to push in on the Pabloian king, currently hiding behind a tree. Understandably so, wants to avoid the arrow storm. And look at that fine shield wall by the Knights of Pablo. Beautiful stuff indeed. Oh look, it's Pablo K. There's a lot of Pablos over here, I have to say. I think it's fair to say Mrs. Pablo gets about a bit. She's a popular girl. But never mind. Anyway, down goes Colour Sergeant Alistair. And we're looking at Patachu. Looking to put in some of that nice longbow action. Or arrow action. Down they go. And here we go. They're attacking. And let's see if we can lock in on the king. Where is the horn bugger? Not seeing him anywhere. Where has he got to? Difficult one to track down. I'll give him that, considering he's got two great big huge flipping feathers on his head. However, the melee here is where the action is. Ah, there he is. There is the king. Currently running in an opposite direction. Goes in, gets a nice kill. And look at this now, coming under attack by opposing forces. The Pabloian king is under a major attack. Right now, when he's fighting for his life, he's whacking out the chopper. And that's some nasty, nasty work. And in come the rest of Knight Pablos. The Knights of Pablo, in fact. And another kill there by the king. The king got a bit of a bloody helmet. Yeah, well, you know. What can you say? That infection takes a while to clean up. Hey-ho, these things happen. Should keep away from the local brothels, is what I can say to that. Pablo now, his axe, he's got the double-handed sword out and he's swinging wildly against the enemy. Look at this, the defense of Pablo. And it looks like the knights have fallen and finally the king is done to death. Regicide in extremis. And we move on to the next round. And we return with the next round. Let's see if we can lock in to find out who is the new leader. Who is the man sitting upon the golden throne. Which is not really a golden throne. It's more of a sort of upturned bucket. But, you know. Unfortunately, we don't have the budget to provide a golden throne. Or a throne of iron or any of that kind of stuff. So, upturned bucket is all you're going to get, boys and girls. But, you know, you get the authority that comes with it. Aha, the king. And it's Frazzlebean from the 16th. Oh, King Frazzlebean, oh my goodness. Literally just got a horse right in the face. So, the king himself, King Frazzlebean, obviously The first to be named Frazzle among the fine dynasty of beans. Obviously, there's been runner bean and green bean and other beans. But this one is the Frazzle. And now, with a polearm, he's going to be defending himself, supported by Huskarls and the members, the Knights of Pablo, of which they've just lost Pablo Z. But never mind, there's more Pablos available. There are a dime a dozen in this battle. So, let's find out who's scouting the area. It's Pablo A, the original Pablo, the eldest and most experienced of all the Pablos. And the least experienced now, we've just lost Pablo Y. So I think it's fair to say his experience has come to an end. Unfortunately, a rather pointed and sharp one, but never mind. So, hiding behind a... Look at that fine swing there from Pablo. Doesn't manage to connect. He's got to watch out. He's got a shield protecting his back, and he turns and he swings. He's barged to the floor. It's bad for Pablo A. And the leader of the Pablo Knights has been slain in the field. Fallen in victory. Fallen in, well, ignominy, I suppose you can say. But here, down the solid rock. You can see an indication. We could call this Frazzle Bean Rock. We'll have to wait and see how it turns out. Now, it's going to give them lots of support. Uh-oh. Oh, goodness. It's all kicking off here around Frazzle Bean Rock. This is not going to be a good situation for King Bean himself. Now, let's keep an eye, see what's going on. Where is the Bean? King Bean, where are you? I would say stand up and be identified, but that's probably not a good idea. Here's a slippery... Ah, there! The Bean himself. And the Bean's getting diddled. Oh dear, the Bean's in trouble. The Bean's been sliced and down goes the Bean. The dynasty is over. And now, a small stripling is the heir to the throne. That's right. String Bean. So, we're back with the next round. And it's time for another side order of Mead and mass regicide. Because that's how we do it on Mount and Blade. Oh, goodness. Along with a quick side order of mass suicide. Hey-ho, never mind. So it looks like they're going to have no cavalry this time, which is going to be an interesting battle. As this flag is essentially made like someone's pyjamas. But never mind. Those fine round shields to add additional defences with the metal banding around it. Fine stuff. As the arrows from Private Basky of the 116th rain down the hill. You can see them aiming up because of the inevitable drop of the arrows. And let's see what's going on. What's going on over here? It's Pablo Z. Oh dear. And there we go, a quick reset. And KOA currently hold the title. 9 minutes and 32 seconds. Let's just say, with that kind of survival rate, Monarchy may be doomed. But we'll have to wait and see. So, oh my goodness, what a fantastic name. Gaylord Steambath. Yes, okay, we'll say no more about that. Oh, heavens, what's going on here? A little bit of a meeting. And there is Gronny Gronjerson of the 16th now. Does remind me of watching a sort of a driving type program on the television. And I think they were all sort of Nordic, Swedish, and there were combinations of Gunnar Gunnarsson, just so many different Gunnars in there, it was unbelievable. So, let's find out what the kingly duties are of the new boy. It's Chaff. It's King Chaff, indeed. Currently in there with his supporting lads. There's going to be plenty of them covered in metal, yes. The Knights of Chaff. Now, for those of you not aware, the little things I used to drop to throw out radar, little strips of metal, known as chaff. So there you have it. Loads, surrounded by loads and loads of strips of metal, is LGN chaff. So, the question we have to wonder is, what is the survival chances of this new dynasty of chaff? Oh my goodness, may not be long if anything's going on here. As you're watching chaff, he's trying to stay out of the way of trouble. This new Chaffian regime. Have to see how long it survives. Under the attack from the enemy forces, and look at that, the knights charging in on the horseman, and he gets well and truly diddled with multiple poles. Which might be a normal night out for him, we don't know, but either way, the cavalry continues to wander around. Here's Gartech of the 16th looking for a soul. Look at that. A soul member out there. Paulenstein of the SS. Watch out, big chopper. Oh, life, fine chopper swing. But we have to return to the Chaffian king himself. Wherever he might be. Here, we seek out. Yeah, the Chaffian king. And he's taking shots. Look at that, they're closing in on him. Oh dear, this is not looking good for Chaff. He's currently coming under a lot of pressure from the enemy. And manages to defend himself, but gets barged to the floor and the polearm in the leg. Oh, the Chaffian king is down. And the regency must begin. Look at that, shot in the leg. All over the place. The poor Chaffian king. The dynasty has ended. And probably move on to the family affairs. But anyway. Finishing off the remainders. There we go. Zamtenza. Now fighting back. Alistair. Down he goes. And a quick kick and a nads to add insult to injury. So. Looks like they're trying to finish off Gentleman and Paulenstein. Down goes Paulenstein. Oh, this is going to be bad news for Gentleman, and so it proved to be. The brave few have fallen in battle, and we move on to the next round. So, here we are on the next round with a new king. I have to say, this country is going through a bloody lot of kings at the moment. I mean, when you're having a 13-minute king, yeah, that's not really good government, I have to say. I mean, you know, that's not exactly stability, I think, as we call it in kingdom circles. So, we seek out the new king, wherever he may be. Now, aha! It is Spaghetti Nom Nom Nom. The farmer, the man raised from the gutter, part of the 116th, much lover of spaghetti, and now the ruler of course, the fine German family of the Nom Noms. So, let's see how things go. As you will now have pretenders to the throne. The Pabloins, the Knights of Pablo, seek to attack and overturn the despotic rule of their enemy, who currently is hiding behind the shield wall. So, we'll just have to see if the Nom Nom Regency, or the Nom Nom rule, will continue or come to a bloody and unpleasant end, as, let's face it, most of the kings have in this particular match so far. Oh, the Nom Noms now coming under attack. The Knights of Nom breaking to attack. Some looking to defend their king. As he backs up to the safety of a tree, nearly gets poked in the face. And now, look at this. Out come fine javelin work from King. And the spaghetti gets out with a new shield. And oh, he gets hit in the back. He's bleeding down one side. This is not good for Spaghetti. Spaghetti now pulling back to try and get to a safer position. Supported by the Knights of Nom. The fine soldiers. Brave fellows, one and all. Oh, look at that. Gets hit suddenly and barged to the floor. Spaghetti's in trouble here as arrows come flying in towards him. And he's backing up to try and avoid it. And he gets sliced. The Pabloan Knights slice Spaghetti across the back. And he falls unceremoniously to the floor. Sadly, the regime of the Noms has come to a bloody and decisive end. And all that remains is for them to clear up what remains of the enemy. So, over here is Nokinsu from the Dark Cloud, currently dead. So, that answers that one. And we move on to the next round. Well, here we are, next round. Let's see who will succeed the Nom Nom regime and bring peace and order to the kingdom. We wonder which poor sod has got the job this week. Aha! It's Untamed Wolf from the Dark Cloud. So, find Wolfian. A man of much bravery, obviously, with a name like Untamed Wolf. Probably a savage bite. And possibly a little bit of distemper or maybe rabies. Who's to say? But either way, we'll have to wait and see. Look, that's a serious blob. That's some serious blobbing going on there, boys and girls. Look at that. They are literally trying to cover him. Oh, wow. Yeah, that didn't work out well. So, the enemy attack in cavalry form. The Pablos. The fine army of the Pablos attack. Enigma from the 116th, ready with his chopper. To beat back the enemy. Do much damage. And generally piss off the locals. So we'll just have to wait and see. Oh my goodness, who's that up there? That's Dutch player. Not sure, he may be Dutch. Oh my goodness, look at that face. Looks like he's been smacked in the face with a shovel. Well, he hasn't been smacked in the face with a shovel, but he just got shot in the balls with an arrow. So that's probably the same effect. And down goes Juden Tots. Team killed. And look at this. Pablo's trying to attack. The army is resurgent. As looks like multiple Pablos being finished off. As down goes Dutch as well. And you can see in the center the king. The wolf himself. The wolf at the door. Oh, barge to the floor and the wolf is down. And so my Mountain Blade Warband decides to minimize. Thank you. So we're back after the wolf has recently fallen. Let's see. Look at this. Bodies, horses. And a king. Currently bleeding out on the floor. So, the knights have been unsuccessful in their attempts to save the king. The Empire of the Dark Cloud has come to an unceremonious end. And now you can see the members of the KOA as Lariak move down towards the bottom. And there we have it. The final man, Black Friday, is killed. Okay, well, let's see what happens now in the kingdom of many kings. This has become literally like a conga line of kings. One king after another, after another, after another. Eventually they're going to run out of people. And you're going to have like the milkmaid as king. And it's just going to be messy. Oh my goodness. There's a man with no shirt on. Oh, it's gentlemen. Oh, this is going to go well for gentlemen. We just know it. We can't watch the murdering that we know is going to occur. And he's throwing his chopper out at the enemy. Nothing new there. So we move over and find out what's news upon the king. Oh dear. Wow. So it looks like a congenitive heart defect has floored the king, already dead. Look at that. So the king, unfortunately, couldn't take being out on the battlefield. Had a massive heart attack at the shock of people with sharp things pointing at him. And has collapsed to the ground. No more. So, King so-and-so the congenital. And that's nice. You made a ginger the king. Oh dear. Never mind. So, the defenders. Greasy Gregory. Oh, look at that. He's crashed his horse into a person. And he's managed to get away with his horse. So, going in for the charge. And barging people to the floor. As there is Lucas Pamacea. There's Tack as well from KOA. Trying to deal with the enemy. There's LGN Rainax. Oh, horse crash. Flying horse attack. It's a new strategy here in Native, and down goes Rainax. Oh dear. Oh, somebody just nearly fell through the floor. Didn't make any difference. He then got murdered horribly. So here you can see the Nords and the Swardians still mopping up the remaining people. Here we can see some of the Nords. There's Lord Grave. Correction. Yes, he is a Nord. I thought so. Well, correction. He was a Nord. Now he's basically worm food. As look at that, as the Swardian Empire wins that round. And we find out who's the next king. So in this pass the parcel sort of round table type situation of kings, here on the hill, we'll have to wait and see what's going on. As you can see, there's a little bit of a technical problem. Where is the king? We seek out the king. And they're under attack already. They must be here on the hill. Oh dear, there's a few members here having a seizure. It's spaghetti nom nom and friends. As down go the horsey cavalry. Nasty, nasty goings on. Now, I don't see the king anywhere here in the battle. And that could be a problem. It may be just the remnants. Nobody's been voted king. So all that remains is the soldiers of both armies. The Nords and the Swardians. And they have yet to nominate said king. Ouch! Here come more of the Nords up the hill. Archers, crossbowmen, and general men of daring do. And there will be some skullduggery and footpaddery occurring today as they look to finish off the remaining members of the enemy army and install their very own monarch on the hill overlooking the castle. Which, let's face it, if you're going to actually have a throne up here, it's going to be bloody windy and a little bit cold, and you're going to get rained on. So, I have to say, they still haven't built the building yet. You can see the walls in place. So, a bit of shoddy work being done there by the building contractors. And that, ladies and gentlemen, has been it for this evening's Tuesday event, courtesy of the Legion, the LGN. Thank you, of course, to Chaff and other members of the LGN for organising it, and of course to all the members of every regiment who have attended this nice, calm and relaxing evening of Regicide. We'll see you next time.